Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton. He's Gerry Hamilton. This is Talkin Ball, brought to you by Dr. Brett Robin of the Austin Orthopedic Institute. Gerry, this morning you put out some news on Texas wide receiver recruit. They're at least going after him, but he's committed to Oregon. But he is a legacy to the University of Texas. That's Jalen Lott out of the Frisco area up in the Metroplex. He's one of the nation's top wide receivers, and he kind of made I don't want to say a clandestine meeting to Texas over the weekend, but it was one that was under wraps until late in the week. Gerry, where's the situation sitting right now? Because you talked to some people. Where's that recruitment at right now?
Yeah, I mean, that was the guy we had said we just weren't going to put the name out because, one, you didn't know if it was actually going to happen. A lot of things can transpire. The one thing I will say about this recruitment is about a week after he committed to Oregon over Texas, the communication started right back up. The communication with Texas and Jalen and his family has never stopped. That's always been there. It's not like once he committed that him and Texas parted ways and went separate ways. Anybody that's followed Texas recruiting and under Steve Sarkisian knows they're gonna keep fighting for their top targets, and this is their top wide receiver target on the board right now that's not committed to them. And look, I think he went down to Austin with both parents, right? Both parents. Obviously, James Lott played football and ran track at Texas. His mom played for Jody Conrad in basketball at Texas. His sister runs track at USC. But if there's the only school that has a chance to flip Lott from Oregon is Texas. That's the one thing. And I think this visit wasn't about going to a football game or the facilities or anything that goes along with normal recruits when they go to Texas. Jaylen Lott, of any prospect Texas is recruiting, has probably been to more Texas games and been on campus in his lifetime more than any other player, any other prospect they're recruiting. So it wasn't about that. It was just about getting back in front of the staff and having discussions and seeing just maybe how far apart things were, what it does. So Steve Sarkisian, does Texas feel like they have a legitimate shot? And I think Texas has a legitimate shot. But the key here is for the people that watch us, don't be running the message board saying Gerry's saying Texas is going to get Jalen Lott. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they have a legitimate shot, and that's all you can ask for if you're Steve Sarkisian and the staff right now. But Jalen Lott, he knows how badly Texas wants him to be a part of the program, and that was reiterated again Saturday at this visit.
Gerry, you look at him as a player. He's one of those guys that runs like a deer. You know what I mean? Like he's barely touching the ground sometimes, and he's moving so fast. Is he maybe one of the speed pieces that they've been so desperately needing or want that Sark wants to play with in this offense?
Yeah, I think he's just a really good player. I mean, I'm not one that looks at Texas and says, "Oh, they're lacking speed." I think this guy is a big-time playmaker is what he is, right? He's just a good playmaker, and I think he could be valuable in a return game, in the punt return game, in the kick return game. Obviously, you see him playing corner there. He does want to play wide receiver. Wide receiver is where he's committed to Oregon for. Wide receiver is where Texas is recruiting him to play. I just look at a guy like this and just – some of those guys are just playmakers, whether it's Quandre Diggs, who played both ways in high school, right? Jermaine Bishop committed to Texas right now. Those guys are just playmakers, and I think that's what Jalen Lott is. He is a playmaker, and I think that shows up on all three phases of high school football for him.
Yeah, whether it's cornerback, wide receiver, or in the return game, to your point. Gerry, there were other guys on campus as well, one of which is committed elsewhere right now that I want to talk to you about briefly, and you spoke with him post his visit, and that's linebacker Brilland Hodge out of the Denver area, Cherry Creek High School in Colorado. He's currently committed to Michigan State, but you talked to him over the weekend after he took an unofficial visit to Texas. What did he have to say?
Yeah, I exchanged a couple of messages with him, and he just said that football means everything at Texas. He said that was easy to tell. Just the way the fans interacted with the team, all the things he took in. That was his first visit. So Texas, that was a telling comment from him because he'd been to other schools, right? He'd never been to Texas to see what Texas, how they put on a game day around the program. And he walked away really impressed. And the news coming out of that was he will make his, unless Cherry Creek is still playing in the playoffs, he will make his official visit to Texas for the Arkansas game. If Cherry Creek wins in the playoffs and is still in the playoffs, then it might bump back to the A&M game. Then the couple of days after the A&M game. So it's going to be dependent on Cherry Creek's schedule in the playoffs. But right now it looks like he will return November 22nd weekend for an official visit. And I do think Texas has the best shot right now to flip him for Michigan State. Now, that was when it was Texas and Michigan. Oregon's recently offered. Some other schools are coming in and offering. So we'll see if he pops up on any other campuses because that is something we're watching. But right now, Texas is the favorite, if there was a favorite, to win the flip battle over Michigan from Michigan State.
It's interesting because I was talking to somebody today. He came in, and sometimes guys come in from out of state, maybe smaller than you expected, or not as well proportionate, et cetera. Apparently, he came in at every bit of the 6'3", 212 pounds that he lists at. Texas definitely likes the young man out of Cherry Creek, Colorado. Another name that we need to keep an eye on, and then we're going to get to some other guys that were on campus this weekend. Quinn out of he's originally from Greater Atlanta Christian, but he's made the move over to Buford, Georgia. He's committed to Clemson. Texas was involved with him in the middle of June, July, that time frame before he committed to Clemson. Apparently now he's looking around. He's already visited Tennessee. Texas is back in the mix on defensive end Quinn. What can you tell us about that commitment? Because recruitment, and I mention all this because these are all guys Texas is going on as seniors. Hodge is the only new offer. They had already offered Quinn and Lott. So I want to circle back to Quinn because we think there might be something there.
Yeah, Quinn picked Clemson over Texas at the time last summer. And one of the reasons was, and I still think this will be interesting how this decision plays out, assuming he picks a school other than Clemson, the final decision. A part of that was the feeling that there was it's not about competition. It's about the path to the field may have looked better at Clemson versus Texas because all the edge depth Texas had built in the last couple of recruiting classes. We'll see if that's changed, really, but he really liked Texas. I mean, he came on a spring unofficial visit in April and immediately scheduled an official visit and bumped a couple other schools to make the Texas visit happen. That's how much him and his family liked Texas initially. Texas has maintained contact with him for a while. The question is, with him, is if he backs off the Clemson commitment, will it be Tennessee or will it be Texas? And will anybody else get into the mix? Again, what Texas still has to overcome, I think, a little bit here is the reason he picked Clemson over Texas in the first place. Because the one thing you can say about Texas right now about the edge position is, man, they got some really good young players.
Yes,
and
they do.
I mean, Colin Simmons has 1 year left, right? Colton Vosick is not a senior. The only guy they're set to lose is Ethan Burke. I mean, Zena's looked good. Justice Terry, Lance Jackson, Smith and Rogbo plates. I mean, there is some depth of young talent there, and that was how Clemson won this one initially. Texas will still have to overcome that.
Yeah, and you could theoretically say they're also losing, though, Trey Moore, potentially Ethan Burke, and then Colin Simmons only has 1 more year. But look, I mean, the reality of it is Texas is recruiting him and recruiting him hard.
Yes.
That's what we're here to report.
Yes.
And they definitely want him. He's 6'4", 228 pounds. Just so people have that understanding. All right, Jerry, before we get to a couple of the big-time recruits from out of state that were on campus, and there were several, I want to and that have already committed to Texas, I want to first say thank you to our sponsor, and that is Dr. Brett Robin. Special thanks to Dr. Robin at Austin Orthopedic Institute for sponsoring On Texas Football. Dr. Robin, a former Longhorn running back, knows what it takes to stay in the game, and he's here for athletes of all ages. He specializes in musculoskeletal health. Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach first, but he also offers advanced surgical options, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, and total joint replacements with convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen. Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. If you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic, Give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. I was talking to a On Texas Football member earlier whose aunt went to go see Dr. Robin and had a great outcome. Again, that's Dr. Brett Robin over at Austin Orthopedic Institute. Jerry, next, and we should have started with this because it's such big news, but Texas had 3 big-time commitments from out of state in this weekend. Derek Cooper, the running back out of Chaminade Madonna, out of Florida, South Florida. James Johnson, defensive lineman out of Miami Northwestern. Corey Wells, defensive tackle out of Petal, Mississippi. Okay, Dylan Berryman was also in.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget those. But those 3, all to a man, said that they were really impressed, apparently, with the Texas game day atmosphere, because for a couple of them, it was their first trip to a game at Texas.
Yeah, it's, Derek Cooper obviously has been through this recruiting process for a long time. This was his official visit, and he was the only official visitor. It was the off week for Chaminade Madonna, so he got the full weekend official visit process. It was a great official visit with him and his parents. And I remain the same on this, and it doesn't mean things can't change on the first week of December. But Derek Cooper's had 2 chances to commit and stay in state, and he chose Georgia the first time and Texas the second time. Same thing with James Johnson, by the way. Georgia the first time, Texas the second time. Miami probably going after James Johnson as hard as any prospect in that state committed elsewhere right now. But Derek Cooper, James Johnson, they all had really good visits. They got to hang out with, Myron Charles and James Johnson know each other, because while James Johnson's at Miami Northwestern now, he grew up in North Fort Myers. Port Charlotte, North Fort Myers, those guys knew each other, maybe even played youth ball together at some point or on opposing teams, but they've known each other a while. And Kendall Gerville, who Texas is still recruiting at Fort Myers High. So Derek Cooper and James Johnson got to hang out with Cedric Baxter, Myron Charles, Jamie French. He was photographed with those guys before the game. All those Florida guys played. CJ Baxter was hurt, but he's been a starter in the past, but and Myron Charles got to play extended snaps. Jamie French had his first career catch. While Jamie hadn't got maybe as much time around the field as much as he wanted, he made his first catch in that game. And Grayson Littleton started, by the way. He's from Tampa, but he started as a freshman from Florida, the state of Florida. So these kids can, when they go to visit Texas and when they talk to kids at Texas, these guys are saying, hey, I made a good decision. I'm really happy here. And now they get to see him play. I mean, don't underestimate Grayson Littleton playing and starting a game as a freshman. And then you have with a guy like Derek Cooper, James Simon. Part of the message from Chad Scott and Steve Sarkisian to a guy like Derek Cooper is, look, we're going to have good backs here. They're going to have good backs wherever you go. But if you come in and handle your business, you're going to have every opportunity to play right away and play early. Well, James Simon's proven that, right? Whether it's through injury or not, James Simon was going to break through and start getting carries. He'd had too good of a fall camp. So now Derek Cooper gets to kind of see proof of concept. Cedric Baxter started his first game. James Simon played. Even Jarrett Gibson played some as a freshman at 352 rushing yards. So there's a lot of positives with those guys from the visits. Corey Wells is very interesting because obviously his brother's committed to South Alabama.
His brother was on the visit with him too, by the way. But
yeah, brother and mom were on the visit as well. But he had been to Auburn for a game. He'd been there prior to this year for a game. He'd been to Tennessee. He's been to Ole Miss. He's been to Mississippi State. He's been around. He committed to Texas without ever going to a game at Texas. So this was the first time him, his mom, and brother were on campus for a game. And we hear the visit went really well. Does that mean he's absolutely going to sign with Texas in December? We're not going to say that because there's what are we 4 months still signing? Yeah. That's a long time, man. But the visit went really well. And I think the one thing I would say is if Chris Wells, the brother, the linebacker committed to South Alabama, if he wanted to be at Texas, I think there's an Isaiah Coleman possibility situation for him at Texas. By the way, Isaiah Coleman got on the field late in that game.
Saturday. Yep.
So it's not just here with the uniform where you actually get a chance to play if you come in and do the work.
Hey, Jerry, just a small segue here because it is rare that you hear, and you and I have been calling recruits and talking to recruits for 30 years, 25, 30 years. It is rare when people mention, oh, I like the game day atmosphere. They all say that, right?
Yeah.
But they don't call out specific aspects of it. Somebody took this footage of the drone show at Texas on Saturday night. we're getting from the parents just that they absolutely love what Chris Del Conte, Drew Martin, and the support group at Texas is doing during game day. It's actually getting like huge amounts of not credibility, but just huge amounts of comments.
Yes.
Because they've never seen anything like this. And they do go to games. I mean, you mentioned Cooper, he went to Miami, Notre Dame, and Wells went to the Auburn game. They don't see anything like this. And it's kind of a celebration of football. I take it back to a quote that you got out of Brilland Hodge, the linebacker out of Colorado. It's like football means everything here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is not indicative of that necessarily, but it shows how much they treat football, or we treat football, as a celebration, as part of a communal celebration. I think it's having an impact on recruiting a little. I'm not saying people are going to sign here because of it, but it's another positive that you just kind of line up in the list of positives that are going on right now.
If you can find a way to successfully combine a concert setting with a college football game and pull it off the right way, people are going to have so much fun at your event.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, that is important. I mean, there has to be the excitement, the fun, it's, yes, the football is very important. Yes, you want to win the game, but can you create an environment in which people talk about more than the game?
Yeah.
That is always the battle, I think, for universities in recruiting is, can you get people talking about more than just being at the game? And people who can combine and kind of bring a concert type setting with really good football, that does matter in recruiting, because what it will do is it'll get kids talking and parents talking about your university and your football program. And then people want to come see it. And that's the whole battle, is how many kids can you get on campus?
Yeah.
How many guys can you get on campus? How many times can you get them on campus? Then that makes for better evaluation process. So whatever can bring that about for Steve Sarkisian and his staff is a big winner. And I do think this stuff is, social media plays a big part in this nowadays. And people see that, and people see the fans having fun of the Texas game, and that resonates in recruiting.
It does. All right. That's going to do it for today's Talkin Ball episode. Once again, brought to you by our friend, Dr. Brett Robin at Austin Orthopedic Institute. Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. Give him a call, 512-856-1000. Jerry, Rod, CJ, and Coach Shipley will be back a little bit later tonight taking your questions, if you have any, for the live stream at 7 o'clock. For Gerry Hamilton, as well as our producer, Matt Hutchinson, I'm Bobby Burton. You guys have a good one. Hook 'em horns.